Brazil, 5-time World Cup winners, Carlo Ancelotti on the touchline, Vinicius, Rafinha, Casemiro all starting, and for large stretches of this World Cup opener for Brazil, Morocco were simply the better team. By minute 12, Brazil had less than 30% of the ball against a team that were favored to beat comfortably on the betting markets. So what actually happened in this game, and should Brazil fans be worried heading into the rest of this World Cup? Let's get into it. Right from the kickoff, something looked off. Morocco came out faster, sharper and more aggressive, and Brazil looked like they hadn't planned for this. Every time Brazil tried to build through Marquinhos or Gabriel, Morocco had two players closing them down instantly. The fullbacks had nowhere to go. Even Casemiro, usually the release valve in midfield, was getting swarmed. Morocco weren't just defending well here, they were better, faster to every loose ball, more creative in transition, and clearly the team with the game plan. And then, minute 21, the goal that had been coming. Let's break down exactly how Morocco scored, because it wasn't luck. Ismail Saiberi, clinical counter-attack. Brazil lose the ball cheaply in midfield, exactly the kind of turnover that had been happening all game. And Morocco break with numbers. Look at the space Saiberi runs into. That's not Morocco being lucky, that's a product of 20 minutes of Morocco being quicker to every decision than Brazil. 1-0 Morocco, and for a few minutes you could feel it was the highest ranked African team at this World Cup actually about to outclass the 5-time champions. But then, just 11 minutes later, the one player who can bail Brazil out of anything did exactly that. Minute 32, Vinícius Júnior, and this is the part where I have to be honest with you, this goal was brilliant. A moment of individual quality that Brazil's collective play simply could not have produced on their own. And that's the story of this match in one sequence. Morocco's organization, pace and creativity were getting the better of Brazil, but Brazil's challenge bailed them out. 1-1 game level. But here's the question that should worry every Brazil fan watching. What happens when Vinicius doesn't have a moment like this? So after the equalizer, did Brazil take over? The final number says not really. Possession finished basically even 51-49 in Brazil's favor. But look past that, Morocco had 14 shots to Brazil's 12. Morocco created 2 big chances to Brazil's 1. And Morocco's expected goals 1.52 were actually higher than Brazil's 1.23. By the metric that actually predict goals, Morocco were the side more likely to win this game. Brazil's goalkeeper had to make 4 saves, Bono only needed 2. Ancelotti even had to make early changes. Ibanez and Casemiro both picked up first half yellow cards, and by half time he had already swapped both of them. Brazil also finished with 16 fouls to Morocco's 14 and were the only side to pick up a card. That's not a discipline of a team in control. So let's go back to the question. Is this one bad day, or is this a real gap in quality we just saw? So, were Brazil getting owned against Morocco? Look, the scoreline says 1-1 and the possession was basically split down the middle. On the surface, that looked like a fair result. But the underlying numbers and the eye test agree on one thing: Morocco were faster, more creative and more direct for large parts of this game. More shots, more chances, higher expected goals against the 5-time world champions. If anything, Brazil were a little fortunate to walk away with a point. And in those crucial opening 20 minutes when Brazil couldn't get out of their own half and Morocco's press was suffocating, that's exactly the kind of spell that against a sharper finisher ends 2-0 before Brazil even settle in. Brazil weren't owned for the full 90 minutes, but for long stretches of this game against a team they were favored to beat comfortably, Morocco was simply the better side, and the stats back that up. And in a World Cup, those spells are exactly the moments that get you knocked out against better organized teams. So here's my question for you: is this a wake-up call Ancelotti needed early, or is Morocco just a genuinely dangerous team that everyone's underestimating? Drop your prediction for both teams' next games in the comments, and if you want my breakdown of the rest of Group C, that video is coming right up. Subscribe so you don't miss it.